Hey Scorpio, this is your October reading. All links to work with me one-on-one is below, as well as the extended version to this reading, which is in a Patreon link, the first link below, and that will bring you right to the extended version of this reading. Give it about 24 hours after this initial reading comes out to check that out. And I'd like to get right straight into it, if you'd like. It's very clear that Virgo season brought to your attention some of the ways in which you have yet to acknowledge your own emotions. I want to put out there that, like, also in ancestors as well, like you're thinking about like your lineage at this time perhaps, and you used to not give thought to it, but it was probably and perhaps brought up to you in a way that just didn't connect very well. And it seems like there's someone in your life, maybe it's all the way to the Taurus eclipse at the end of the month, which would be skipping right to it, but there's someone in your life that is very upfront and honest, someone who at times needs you to listen, but what gets in the way and what has gotten in the way of that is and it could have been brought up recently, let me just say this, is something that, of course, Libra season can do, Virgo season into Libra season, is, my cat is laying right here. Little energy. He's so sweet. He loves being here more than ever. Is that it's important to give, so what the connection I'm making here now, looking at the Knight of Cups next to, because this is what strikes me the most, is the Knight of Cups and the Page of Cups bookending the Ten of Swords. And it's very clear that whatever change and whatever you've been working on, whatever you've been like feeding your mind, because this is what this is really about, especially emotionally, is really important. It's also possible that you learned last month how much better you've been doing about, like, maybe even just reassuring yourself, maybe just even, so me checking my makeup, you reassuring yourself of something, because there's a way that you used to approach yourself before, especially about things that you learn in a sharp way, like something that brings up intense emotion, or even if it's joy, even if it's something you, what you're finding, and it could be through learning or just coming across this, for some of you it really is a spontaneous realization, not something you've been seeking or listening to. It's just that you've realized how much you, through your emotions, shit can manifest and life can manifest around you. And the more that you give this positive, and this is something I just wrote about today, which I think you'll appreciate, and it could be a Virgo in your life who also shared something with you that ignited this, but for a lot of you, I just think it was last month. I think it was Virgo season. And or there could be someone of deep wisdom, or this part of yourself that you're finding deep wisdom with. The more that you communicate with yourself in the way that's giving to what it is that is no longer serving you. So instead of giving energy to the situations you have once found yourself in, and maybe reoccurring patterns even, you're finding yourself realizing that the more that you give the way you used to, or the more that you used to invest your energy, it hasn't been working the way that you have been. And what will is using what insight you've gained about yourself to your benefit, right? So these outer influences, a lot of times, not all the time, sometimes, like, life of course is just happening, but a lot of time are this, and I do my best just have a conversation with you, because I mean, I date a Scorpio, so I know how y'all are about advice. I can't say I'm not the same sometimes, okay? But what you're learning to overcome in your mind is that it's not just you as a singular person, and this can get a little sciencey without the sciencey. I don't know. You can take for it what you will. I call it intuition, intelligence. Is that the more that you give to yourself out of place of this is what is actually feeding this insight to come back to me, because now I know what to do with it. That it trusts me with this information, that it's just not this weird woo shit coming up. It's that moment and that like slight vision you had before something happened, and then you saw it through a situation. Maybe it could be work, it could be someone else, but you're now giving to the parts of you that used to think that it was cool, but now you're engaging with it. You're engaging with what makes you so you, and by the time we get to your month, it will feel even more powerful. And it's probably a sense of power for a lot of you that you may have not felt in a while, because there's been we need this season to kind of hash out the things that we either don't feel like hashing out, it doesn't really feel like it matters, it gets too intense. In all different seasons, this is the season where you realize it's okay. And I see every sign from what I'm reading is like everyone's trying to get ahead of what's to come. It's like Scorpio season is going to be a little intense, this eclipse season. And what is becoming of this is a sense of self that when you choose to share, when you choose to even teach or teach, share knowledge, invite people to the table even. It's never about how much money you have. It's never about the things you have, even though Empress is showing up here. It's always about the greater vision of it all. That it's nothing without the total sphere, the full circumference is what I was gonna say. The full circumference of it all. And what I think is more obvious to you right now is that you're in the middle of this, because it sounds so easy, right? But in those moments where it can be so easy to treat oneself or talk to oneself, which has been proven now, so you can even look that up if you like, but it's proven that like how you talk to yourself is important, how you feed yourself, right? How you feed yourself emotionally. And you've come across things to help you grieve this chapter, but it's not going to be hard because it's almost like you've already done it. You've done it in a way that really makes sense for what's coming next in your life, but because it looks like the way forward is through yourself. It's so vague. What do you mean through yourself? It's giving yourself the chance and the fairness to heal by deciding to move on from whatever may have caused this train of thought, as if you couldn't handle where you're going. I think right where you are shows you how much you can handle. That if, Scorpio, you gave yourself a moment to reflect on the past year, how much you've already engaged. You know what, this is just not meant to be together. How much you've engaged. We'll look more into this in the second part, but how much you are more engaged with your life. There may have been a time where you put certain wants and desires on the back burner. For a lot of you, you're recharging your romantic life if it's been a little dull, or if it's whatever stage it's in. It doesn't matter if you're with or not with someone. Things are about to rev up. Your life and how you see life as opposed to how you saw life. Through these series of choices, you're healing parts of yourself maybe you didn't realize needed attention. that even if it seems silly to go there, take a look at something or reflect on something that has happened or how it made you feel, and knowing that you have the choice now to treat yourself differently in this moment. That maybe it's more about how much you have instinctually learned. Sweetie. Oh, sorry, but like, this is it. So sometimes I'll pick him up and like move him. Depends on the energy I'm in. This relates to this, by the way. But sometimes I'll just let him stay. Sometimes I'll just move his body. But right now he's on top of the card, so I'll wait until we finish because I know which cards are underneath him. And he's been wanting a lot of love lately. So what I would say is that, and I do believe in, especially this moment that we're in, reading the subconscious, reading the conscious, reading what's around, what's playing, what energies are playing a part of this, the role that you're playing in your own life. And now we have my like orange cat, which relates to the sacral, and the in Scorpio is related to this area as well, rules the sexual organs. Ruled by Mars is about you're going to have a Mars return. Well, if you have your Mars in Scorpio, sorry, I understand. But you're gonna have all this power coming to you. So the reason why we need this to have like a real discussion, even though you're doing great, but we need to start off with saying, okay, you need to implement whatever insight you've been given, is because a lot of people are gonna wanna engage in power dynamics with you. And what you have to realize is that there is in a part of everyone, we all have complexes. No one really gets away with not. So why pay attention to the kitty? Why talk about the cat? Well, giving him love and nurturance will help you realize where discovering this intuitive part of yourself doesn't just, it's not just the Two of Wands behind the wall, it's out here in the ether. There's so much to learn and gather, and it's important not to be hard on yourself for what hasn't been, but to reward yourself for getting to a place where you can now feel passionate about something, inspired by something or someone. And it's possible that you haven't felt this way in a long time, and not that it has to be anyone else's responsibility, but it's to remember why it's important to give yourself the opportunity to feel inspired. How do you do that? Well, you take inspired action. You do things. You let yourself get bored. Sorry, this is not... I know a lot of you are like, do this, do that. I'm like, we're just going to try to figure this out right now, because we're on a roll here. And it's like, it's okay to get bored. It's okay to let yourself, sit with this little feline inside of you that also needs nurturance, this part of you that then becomes and has this great rebirth into the fire. Your season is coming. You're feeling underneath this churning of events, and you feel it coming through you. And you realize that this season's giving you the power to take on the responsibility to nurture these aspects within yourself and within your relationships, allowing people the experience of you when you allow yourself a freedom to have more adventure. Because I feel like a lot of you are craving more adventure, you're craving newness, and it's not to like, because the winter is really your time for some reason, like, not other than it's your birthday, but it is your time. It's this time where you get to have a chance to take account these eclipses that you've been through and realize that it's not going to steamroll you ahead. You're going to be not only in front, leading yourself, but you're going to lead yourself straight into what you know to be your true experience and your true power, and taking control of your life. It's not a power dynamic, it's you taking back your life. And that sometimes has words and sometimes doesn't. And we all, you may find yourself in these situations where you can decide through your actions, through what has hurt you, but what you've learned from, and how you're deciding to be how you are. Like, think of any new connection that you have and where you're at with it. And then any old connection, what dynamics are being played there. And in any new relationship, how that can be solved with just simple communication. or where you may want to implant it, what relationships are worth saving. But first you have to think about, I know I'm just like, but like, which ones you also want to put more energy into and which ones you find yourself receiving from. Again, this new inspiration, especially in romance, but it's not without implementing the insight that you've gained, especially if it has to do with how you digest life. I always give this advice if you're looking for it. If a part of your life, whether it's work or home or chaotic, simplify at least one thing that can help your body, and it's your food. As a Virgo moon, I attest to simplifying your digestive system so your body's not working harder, if you can and if it's attainable to you. Lentils are not the hardest thing, and they're great for your body, and that's just one example. Simplifying this aspect of your life gives you more time to digest and think over certain other things instead of having something on, or simplify meal prep. Do something in your life, and it doesn't have to be nutrition. That's where I go first, because then everything else in your life, there's a balance to it. And there's a responsibility to what you're feeling right now. And I want to talk so much more, but we'll get into the second part. There's so much to say, even more, Scorpio. Your season's coming. And I don't just mean, month. All information is below. I'll see you then. See you there.